Okay, good morning. Good morning. Today is Monday, October 27th, 2005. 2025, right? 2025. And we're Malachim Aleph, Perek Test. Okay, so just a quick where we're up to. So we finished bringing Beis HaMikdash. We finished the Kalim Beis HaMikdash. That was Perek Zion, that was Perek Ches. And then we had the inauguration in Perek Ches as well. The Shlomo HaMelech inaugurates the Beis HaMikdash. And now we're starting Perek Tes. V'hi kechloi shloima livnei Beis Hashem, Beis HaMelech, v'chol cheshek shloima asher chofetz lasis. So now, Shlomo HaMelech, he says, when Shlomo finished building the Beis HaMikdash, and he finished building his house, and all that he wanted to build, we'll see in a minute what that refers to, because he built other things as well. We'll get there. And Pasuk says, "V'yar Hashem es shloima sheinis kasher nira lo b'givon." So Hashem came to Shlomo in a dream, another kind of nevuah, and like he appeared originally in Givon. What was Givon? So we said earlier, Givon was that Hashem came to Shlomo and said, ask for one thing, I'll give it to you. And Hashem and Shlomo chose Chachma, and because he got Chachma, Hashem said, I'll give you everything else as well. That was the first time he appeared to him in Givon, and now Hashem appeared to him again. Yomi Hashem love. Hashem told him, Shemati es tfilas I heard your tefillah and your tchina, asher is chanti lefana that you pleaded in front of me. V'skadashti es beis hazeh Hashem b'nisa. Hashem says, and now I brought the shechin like we had earlier into the Beis HaMikdash. Lashem shmi sham ad ha'olam v'haya einai libi sham kol yom. Hashem says that I put my eyes, my heart there in the Beis HaMikdash. So kind of what the tefillah was, Hashem said he wanted it to, Shudash come in. Hashem saying, I listened. I put my shechina in the Beis HaMikdash. Now Hashem saying, now for you Shlomo, Ata, Imseilech Lefanai, if you shared Halach Dovid Avicha, Vesam Levav, V'Yosha Lasis Kol Tzvesecha Kosem Mishpat Tishma. Now Hashem is saying, if you follow my ways like David did, and you, with a pure heart and with Yashar, and you follow all the mitzvahs that I told you, then Hashem is saying, I'll establish have a seat, sit down. Hashem is saying, I'll establish my throne in the Beis HaMikdash. I Yisrael Olam, and I'll be there. I'll be in the Beis HaMikdash. Kasher Dibarti al Dovid Avicha, just like I spoke to David, that I said, like Kares v'cha'ish Malkisei Yisrael, that I won't remove my throne. In other words, the Shechina will always be in the Beis HaMikdash. Again, so just a quick chazar for the people who just came in now. So after Shlomo inaugurates the Beis HaMikdash, Hashem comes to him and says, if you follow my ways and you be yashar and you continue and you don't do averis, then what's going to happen is I'll stay in the Beis HaMikdash. I won't leave. I'll be there l'olam. However, but if let's say let's say your children turn away from Achurai, from me, if you don't follow in the right ways, if you right, then as Yisrael, I'll cut myself off from Klal Yisrael, Ma'alpei Adama, Asher Esati Lahem, as a bias, Asher Shashi Lishmi, Ashalach Mal Fanai, and I'll remove myself from Klal Yisrael, from in front of them. V'haya Yisrael l'mashal, and Klal Yisrael be an example. L'shinna chol ha'amim, as a mockery to all the nations. In other words, all the nations will laugh at Klal Yisrael. They're on such a high that the Beis HaMikdash, Hashem's Shechina was there, and then suddenly Hashem leaves. And why did Hashem say, why did I do this? Because you turned away, you didn't follow after the right ways. Now, even more, bias hazeh yeh elyon, and this bias will be elyon. I'll explain to you what that means. Kol over of love, and anyone who passes by, yisam v'sarak v'amru, they'll be astonished and they'll make noise and they'll say, Amma asa Hashem kacha. Why did Hashem do this and destroy Beis HaMikdash? Why did Hashem do this? So what does it mean? A bias hazeh yeh elyon. So there's two pshatim how to learn it. So the Bag learns the pshat is just to read better into the pasuk. It says, "Habayis says, that was this Beis HaMikdash that I built will be destroyed." That's Elya means will go up, will be destroyed. Rashi learns it means Elya means before It's one before they do Avera. And then if they do Avera, then Hashem will leave Klal Yisrael. Whatever. But either way, the pasuk is saying that Hashem tells Shlomo, if you follow my ways, you do my mitzvahs, I'll be in the Beis HaMikdash l'olam. However, if you don't, I'll leave the Beis HaMikdash. I'll abandon Klal Yisrael, and not only that, everyone's gonna laugh at Klal Yisrael to the point that it'll be like a mockery. And why did Hashem do this? And the reason why Hashem did this, you know why? Because they left me, and therefore I destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. Pasuk test, but Amru, and they'll say, now what's the reason why Hashem did this? Because Asher Azvu Hashem Lekechem, and because the Klal Yisrael abandoned Hashem, Asher Hotias, Avosam Mitzrayim. The Yachziku came Chiram, and they left me and they went to other gods. And they bowed to them. They worship other. And therefore, Hashem Aleichem as a Raza. And therefore, Hashem. So it's a simple warning. The warning is, I'll be by the Beis HaMikdash. My shiur will be there, but make sure be loyal to me. And if you do that, there'll be a continuation of the Malachim based on, and there'll be the Beis HaMikdash, and the shiur will be there. Now, pasuk Yud and on, it's just another story. So now after 20 years? We know being Beis HaMikdash was 7 years. Building the house of Shlomo was 13 years. Again, to remind you, why did the Beis HaMikdash take so quickly? Because Shlomo HaMelech was so excited to build the Beis HaMikdash that he did it rushed. So that was 7 years. So and his house he had plenty of time. So that took 13 years. So now if these 7 and 13, after 20 years, he built the 2 houses. The Beis Hashem, Beis Malchus. What happened? Chiram, Melech Tzur, Nisa, Shlomo, Ba'atzei Rozim, Ba'atzei Rozim. Hiram, the person who gave for the Beis HaMikdash originally. Remember, he gave the Atzei Rozim, the Cedar of Atzei Brushim. He gave him the cypress wood. So, and it's interesting. The pasuk is Obezav and Chochavs. They gave him a lot of gold, which I don't believe earlier it talks about the gold. But I have maybe a shot. We'll see in a minute. So Shlomo gave back to Chiram. He gave him a present. What did he give him? Esrim Ir Eretz Galil. So Chiram gives Shlomo a present. No, Shlomo rather gives Chiram a present. He gives him 20 cities in Galil as a present. Okay. Now we'll explain. There's a few shots on why he did this. I just want to first read the story. And then what happens is that so Chiram comes, he wants to see this big gift that Shlomo gives him. He goes look at the city at Shadat Shlomo. The law Yishru Beinov. He wasn't pleased. He didn't like the land. And but Yomi, he said, what is this city that my brother gave me? Eretz Kovel Adi. He called it the land of Kovel. In other words, the way Rashi learns is that he gave him these 20 cities as a present. Shlomo gave him the cities for all the wood he gave him. And he looked at it, he wasn't happy, and he said, this is the land of Kovel. Rashi learns means it goes marshland. He said, this is not good land to plant things. Good morning, I'm Eli, welcome. Okay. So what happens? And then Chiram gives him back. So then Chiram, trying to show Shlomo that his good friend, that he wasn't insulted for giving him the bad properties, he gives him 120 kikars off. You ever got the story? That's why I repeat it again for Eli. Okay. So Chiram gives wood to the Beis HaMikdash, right? He gives him the Atzei Rozim, Atzei Brushim. And then Shlomo HaMelech decides to give a present back. What does he give? He gives him 20 cities in the Galil as a present. And then Chiram looks at the property. He says, you give me this junky property, I can't plant on this property. So then what happens is Chiram gives Shlomo HaMelech back, gives him gold. What's the shakavatari? So the few shatim. So first it was a big kasha. How do you give away land in Eretz Yisrael? Like what's going on here? That's a simple kasha. And also, like, what's the shot? Like, so first of all, the Gemara says, the Gemara brings down that Eretz Kovel means that it was not that it was bad property. It was people that were people that were but people that were spoiled people. Kovel Lashon, people are spoiled. There was a city, people had gold and silver. He didn't want to he gave me a present of a place with a bunch of spoiled people. He didn't want that. That's the Gemara. So I looked it up. I saw a pshat. I think it's the Barbanel brings down a pshat like this. That what happened was Shlomo HaMelech promised Chiram that if you give me the wood of the Beis HaMikdash, I'm going to give you back. It says he's going to give you wheat and I think oil. So the pshat was that what happened was he gave him land, and what happened was Shlomo gave Chiram land in Eretz Yisrael, a place that he could plant the wheat and he could do plant the olive trees in order to pay for it, right? And Hiram, he let him deal with all that, and because of that, Shlomo gave him back property. Shlomo gave him land in the Galil, and Hiram gave him land in Lebanon. It was like a swap. It's nice that the other person tried to say that because the pasuk would have said that, because if he's giving away land in Israel and he got something back, it should say that, because it's a pretty important thing. There's a lot of ways to understand this, but the simple pshat was that he gave land to Israel, and Hiram wasn't happy with the land, and because of that, Hiram, who had a good relationship with him, I didn't answer part of the questions. Which one? How to give him land? So the answer was that he did a land swap, and he gave land to Israel. It's fair because it's
a purchase. We said it was convert to Israel. It was Dovid. Kibush Dovid. Kibush Dovid is not a.
Could be. I didn't say anyone says that. But we'll see in a minute. We can have that about the city of Gezer in a second. We're going to have that.
The Gemara makes it sound like you had in mind that they should be working for them. And
again, from the
land itself.
From the pasuk that we had earlier, but the pasuk earlier, it seemed like, look, I'm going to give you wood, and in return, I'm giving you oil and wheat. It didn't sound good. He has to work for it.
No, he's giving laborers, and that's why he didn't want to spoil people. They're laborers. They don't want to. They don't want to be laborers.
It's not so clear. I understand, but again, I just want to tell you, if you want to go with Pashup Shah and the pasuk, he gives them land.
They're quoting Gemara and Shabbos and Yerushalmi.
Then what? The Chiram gave laborers.
Those two sheets. That one that was bad soil, and the other one is that they were spoiled people.
And they don't want to work.
They didn't want to work.
And that could go with. We have to go with the other pshat.
That didn't give him the land itself, but it's a part that he gave him the land. He gave him the workers.
Okay. Oh, there was another pshat which would answer that question. He didn't give him the land; he just gave the land to use. The land to use in order to maybe plant in order for the workers to work to plant the wheat. Okay. Anyways, let's go back to it. Now, pasuk tes vav. Okay. V'zeh dvar mas asher hela Melech Shlomo livna is Beis Hashem. So Shlomo he built his house. He built the Beis HaMikdash, and he also built other things that you'll see in a second. So he put a tax. What was the tax? He made a human tax. Today we're familiar with taxes that you charge money. This was a human tax. So let's see the possible. V'zeh dvar mas asher hela Melech Shlomo livna is Beis Hashem as Beis. And what else did he build? The Malua, as Chametz Yerushalayim, as Chatzar, as Megiddo, as Gezer. These are different things, different buildings and structures and areas that Shlomo built. And now we're going to say what the tax was to build these things. Rashi said, what's the Malua? Rashi says the Malua, they learned it was like a moat. Around the Ir David, there was some sort of like low wall that had dirt inside. And if you know what a moat is, basically, imagine you have a building, and then you put kind of like a water in between, and then you build like this like structure, like a low wall with dirt that kind of protects the property. Yeah, but some people say it was really a big field. I don't know. Rashi says it was a low wall that was filled with dirt. Okay. Anyways, these are the things that he built, and then he put a tax. Now the pasuk just takes for a second, just stops and explains what happened with Gezer. Because it says Mikdash as Gezer. What was the story? So I'll just tell you, and then we'll see it. So Gezer, it's a city in the kind of the northern Eretz Yisrael, a little bit to the north, the city of carrots. All right, and what happened was that city Yeshua didn't fully conquer. So Melech Mitzrayim, Pharaoh Melech Mitzrayim went ahead and captured Gezer, and he burnt the city down, and all the Canaanim that were in the city, he killed all the Canaanim. So now, since Shlomo HaMelech marries the daughter of Pharaoh, he gave him back the city as a present. That's what Moses says. But Pharaoh, Melech, Mitzrayim, Allah, is Gezer. He went up to conquer Gezer, and what did he do? He burnt it down. That's a Canaan Yosha Be'er Harak. He killed all the Canaanim. So now the city is empty. So he gave him as a present, as a wedding gift to Shlomo, because he married his daughter. Yeah. So now that city, even Shlomo as Gezer, he built up that city of Gezer. It's Beis Chayrin Tachlan. Also under we had this in Yeshua Shaifta. There was a city. There was Beis Chayrin. It's right under it. So it's actually on the map. It's right nearby. And anyway, so he helped build this up. Now, there's Balas Ves Tadmor, the Midbar Aretz, and also Balas and Tad and also in the Midbar. These are things that he built, and also he adds more. Before we said a few things, now it's adding Ves Ari Miskanais. There were storage cities, Ashahila Shlaima, Ves Ari Rechev, because he had tremendous amounts of horses, right? So he needed cities for his chariots, Ari Prussian for the cavalry. Ves Cheshek Shlaima, and all that Asher Chashek Limas Bishalayim. Whatever Shlomo decided to build, whether it was in Israel, in Lebanon, and in the lands that he controlled. Now, I'm just saying, it could be that we had earlier that he built the Bahar Levanite. So one of the pshat in the Bahar Levanite was the Bahar Levanite, whatever it was, Beis HaLevanite. So we said one pshat. What we said, well, he built it actually in Lebanon. That would be cool with the pasuk, because the pasuk says that anything he wanted to build, whether it was in Lebanon or whether it was in all the lands that he controlled, that Shlomo these are the things that he built. Now, what is the tax? And now the pasuk goes into the tax. Okay, what was the tax he did? Kol ha'am ha'noiser, any person that was left over, bin Amari, Achiti, Aprizi, Achivi, Ayivusi, these are people left over. Asher loy b'nei Salema. Clearly, these are not Yidden. So they were left over in Eretz Yisrael. We know when Yeshua captured the land, what did Yeshua do? He got rid of a lot of people, but he left over. In Eretz Yisrael, there was a lot of goyim hanging around. And those days, we had the pasuk said that Yeshua put a tax to the people that were left over, and he made them pay certain taxes, right? But he let them stay, which was a time of Yeshua. He should have got rid of them. But anyways, now years and years later, these people that were left over, Shlomo made them as a tax work for him. So all these people are left over, whether it was the Amari, the Chitim, the Prisim, the Vusim. Now B'neihem Asher Nishru. Asher nicer rather Acharayim, the people, the children that were remained of them, Ba'aretz and Eretz Yisrael. Asher lo yachlu b'nei Yisrael achrim. The Klal Yisrael cannot kill them because they were still there. So Shlomo he made that, he put them as a tax until today. We said many times until today means until a year. He wrote Sefer Malachim. At that point, these people were still working. So in other words, these people. They didn't pay the tax like the times Yeshua, actually a money tax. Now they had to just work, and they became his laborers. Now, how about Bnei Yisrael? So Bnei Yisrael, he did not give them a tax. Because the Klal Yisrael, they were the people of his army. They were the aides, the commanders, the people who had the chariots, the cavalry, whatever. They had jobs. In time of Shlomo, there were no wars, so what was their job? The answer is partial. The Bavi could tell you, in the government we know, we still have to have an army, even in peaceful times. In fact, the reason why Shlomo has so much peace was because he had a big army. Exactly. So that's always true. We should always help out Klal Yisrael. Okay. No, he's just saying is that it's very important to always involve the Klal Yisrael. Okay. Pasuk Gimel. The Elo sorry Anitzim Asher Al Malach Shleima. So far good. Okay, these are the Elo sorry Anitzim. These are the officers Asher Al Malach Shleima. Chamisha Meyas. There were 550 people. Haroidim Ba'am Ha'isa Malacha. There were 550 people who controlled the Malacha. Rashi has a whole bother over here. It says there's 550 people that were supervisors. The problem is earlier there was 300, and then we had the 300, and the Divyam it says 600. So how does it all work out? So I think the pshat is like this. Rashi says that it says here there's 550 workers. Okay, so Rashi said 300 of these people were from the Gerim that were pointed on the 70,000 to 80,000 workers. What's that referring to? So we said earlier that when Shlomo built the Beis HaMikdash, he needed people to help him to query out the stones, and he needed people to move the stones, and that was 70,000, 80,000, 150,000 people. And then we said there was 3,300 people that were supervisors that supervised over all the other workers. So there were 150,000 workers, and there was 300 workers watching over, and there was 3,300. That was the number we said earlier. The problem is in Divrei Yamim it says okay, but first of all here it says it's 550, and in Divrei Yamim it says 600. How does that work out? So Rashi says that, but it said it earlier there was when it said earlier 300, that's the 300 here too. It says 550. So Rashi explains that there was additional 250 that were for Klal Yisrael that were supervising above everyone else. So when it says 550 again, that's 300 from the Gerim earlier that were watching the 150,000, which is 70 plus 80, and the additional 250 on top of that were from Klal Yisrael. Yes? They read Rashi? You good? It's read Rashi, by the way. Okay. Pasuk of Daled, exactly, the managers. Pasuk of Daled. Now, if you remember the picture earlier, so I probably should have brought the picture today, but we said that Shlomo HaMelech builds Beis HaMikdash, and then he builds a lot of buildings nearby. And he built himself his house, and then he built the house of Perek, his daughter, which was his wife. Now, the reason why I did that, because originally she was living in Ir Dovid, which was nearby, but he felt it wasn't proper that the Aron was there, that she should have a permanent residence there. Anyway, so he built for her a house right nearby. Now, the thing was, Shlomo HaMelech also built this thing called a Malui. And Malui was like a house for the slaves of Bas Pari. And the way the building was structured, that it kind of blocked people from going up to the Beis HaMikdash. And it was a Tainan Shlomo. This is one of the Tainan Shlomo that he shouldn't have built this house for his wife. Let's see the pasuk. But as Beis Pari also Meir David al Beisa, that he built the house for his wife, right? Because she went up from Ir David, right? And now he went ahead and he built a Malua. So Rashi says the Malua was a house for the Avodah and the Shivchas, and this is the Musa that Yeravim said. It says Avicha Nich Paretz Leider Golim Atam Nisai. Your father let people go beyond the regal, but you go ahead and you close it up, because when he built the Malua, it made like a blockage for going up. Just to basically imagine people go up this way and they couldn't pass through because the structure was in the way. Dovid HaMelech. Okay. What is that? What do you mean? No. Right, because it says Von Shlomo Shabbat. Right, that very well. He went ahead and built a fire. Shlomo went up 3 times a year, and he brought a Eilish Shlomim Amazbech. Shabana Hashem. The Hikta he brought with Hashem Lefnei Hashem Shilu Mesabais. Basically, we did the whole inauguration, but what's the final piece of the inauguration of the Beis HaMikdash is bring karbanos. So yes, they established regular karbanos, and they did that was understood. But on top of that, Shlomo went ahead during the times of the regel. He went ahead and he brought oils and Shlomo on this beach as well, because that's the highlight of the year. That's why it says it. But really, of course, he had to do regular karbanos as well. That's pasha, and he's just saying that Shlomo, during the time of the regel, he added and he brought it right spot. And not only that, he also brought the kataris. Very, very important. The kataris, fine. Now it's an interesting two psukim. I'm not sure. Anyways. The ani asa melech Shlomo. Shlomo HaMelech made his ships. Where were the ships? The Etzor and Gover, Asher Ha'elos, which was near Elos. That is in the extreme south of Eretz Yisrael. Valsvas Yam Suf Eretz Edom. So if you know the map, so you have Eretz Yisrael, and then on the bottom is Edom, and you have the Yam Suf, which is kind of maybe called west, right? That's near somewhere near Cairo. Now, Shlomo HaMelech built over ships over there, and he went on a voyage. Okay, there was this voyage, and basically the idea of the voyage was to get gold from the area of Afra, right? We'll see. Let's read inside. So va'ani Hashem Melech Shlomo b'Etzor and Gover Asher b'Elos v'Asvas Yamsuf v'Eretz. So he built ships, and they went near the Yamsuf and Eretz Edom. But Chiram from north in Lebanon, he sent his avodav to the ships. They were sailors who were experts of the sea, and he basically Chiram sent sailors to Shlomo's voyage with avodav. So Shlomo is launching this voyage. Chiram sends sailors for the voyage. And where they go, Afira. They went to Afira. In order to get from there to buy Zav Abameas Esem Kikar, to get 400 measures of gold. So, and they brought the gold to Shar. The Rebelsky has a shot. He says that Afir is near Peru, and it's very far. So, if you know what Peru is, Peru, yeah. So it sounds like South America somewhere. It sounds like
found America.
Right, and I'll tell you even more. The next Perek Yud, we're gonna have about Queen of Sheba. That's tomorrow's shiur, and Queen of Sheba. The reason why it's near the Perek because she heard about Shlomo. How did she hear about Shlomo? Because they were on this voyage and it was near Peru, and therefore the word went out. They're talking about the gold and a lot going on in Eretz Yisrael, and she came to Eretz Yisrael. We'll see that tomorrow, and she saw about Shlomo and about Beis HaMikdash. She's very impressed, and we'll see all about it. But because Shlomo, one of his big things was money, and they had a lot of kesef and zov, and Shlomo was about a wealthy malchus, and they did a lot of it. They built and they had a lot of gold. It was about a tremendous amount of display glory of wealth. Shkoyach.